We get
What,
awkward when it's live.
what
We're
does
like,
live mean? What does live
live
mean?
means this would be like on YouTube right now.
Oh, I don't
But
think we need to edit.
I don't think we need to edit either.
You keep editing. Are we recording?
We're recording.
So you should just let this play. This
This,
whole conversation, and
yeah,
people can hear
it's
you
all
go, bum,
gold.
bum, beep,
It's all gold.
no, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So running it back, we're back. Been a little while. The NBA's heating up. What's going on, Charles?
This is this is low energy Palmer. It
Yeah,
is 4:30 on the East Coast. Did you have like a little snack, some protein?
I
Or
did.
did you like a
I
little
had some
juice?
tacos.
Matthew give you one of his juice
I
boxes
had
that
two
gives you a
kinds of
little.
tacos. Mex Salvador here in Brooklyn. They're
All right.
delightful. Some
Shout out. Is that a
some
shout out? Are
steak
we
and
gonna?
some fish. I kind of I had 5 tacos for lunch. Yeah,
It's an aggressive. That's an aggressive.
it's a
I'm
nice
doing.
number. You don't have to go to 6. You know, I don't have to impress. I'm not like showing off, but
No beans and rice on the side.
no, just tacos.
No
A
guacamole
little
and shit.
hibiscus agua fresca. You know, because it's legit. I'm right by Sunset Park. You know,
No,
there's.
knowing your sensitive stomach, I will do not want to be around you.
See,
Like,
this is why I edit. Like you just,
so why you
I have
editing?
to edit out your microaggressions. You're constantly attacking me, and the only way for me to sound like a reputable human is for me to just expunge, just erase all of your side eye.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking about the Mets. Congratulations, you guys are
Best record in
definitely going to
baseball.
go best record. Congrats.
Okay?
Your Knicks,
Knicks and Lakers, we're going to talk about, right? I mean,
okay, we'll
like
get there.
that's part
So
of.
so how are we doing? Doing great. Just know once again, it's another walking challenge. Little
Okay.
upset on a team that it's a shout out to Anastasia's Gardening and Yoga Club that celebrates effort.
Yeah.
And the joke, if you know that the woman who's leading our team, she just PR'd at the Paris Marathon.
Yeah.
So we go hard. Our team has not missed our step count.
Personal record.
Personal
Yeah.
record.
Yeah.
And this is the last week. I'm a little frustrated because there is no way to declare a winner. So
Right.
as long as each team has each of their members, all the teams that each team has each of the members meet the step count each week, they can effectively make the leaderboard. 4 teams have made the leaderboard every week.
Oh,
And
it's
there's
team
no,
based. Wasn't it individual before?
yeah, that was a long time ago. That's
Okay.
what led to my hip labral tear and the
Yes.
arthritis, which led to
Okay.
me 6 months later
Yeah.
going to get an MRI and X-ray, which I still
Right.
haven't gotten a hip replacement. I'm
Check
still
our back
working through
catalog.
it.
It's covered regularly on Running It Back. Yeah.
But feeling great.
Yeah.
Just a low tinge right out, a little
Yeah.
low lumbar pain, but I'm great.
Yeah.
It's team based. And so at one point we were trying to Nancy Kerrigan, or so not, what's the other one? Not Nancy Kerrigan.
Tanya Harding?
We tried to Tanya Harding, get some addresses, take out some legs. But right now we'll be in a 4-way tie for first.
Wasn't Galuli? Wasn't that one of her
Galuli.
her henchmen? Yeah.
Exactly.
We definitely
So-
need to. At some point, we should run it back to Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. Even though I know there've been movies made about it, and it like why me?
Yeah, because
you
our
know?
fans are dying for us to follow figure skating.
I
so
think
we'll
just
definitely
for posterity, I want Tarlin's takes on Tanya Harding. I mean, that's basically what I want to get you on the record. That's for a subsequent conversation. We're recording this. The NFL draft is tonight, so we might hit on that.
hours away.
Yeah. But yeah, in fact, there's a countdown that's been absurdly big in terms of the number of hours. Now it's like a reasonable time to have a countdown. We're like 3.5 hours out. But we're not going to talk draft per se. We might get in there, but we really wanted to talk NBA. We've done some crunching of the numbers. We're listening to our audience. We're following the eyeballs and the downloads and the view times and all the metrics. And people want more NBA. They want more of us breaking down the NBA, trying to connect the NBA to lessons learned, ways in which we can apply some of what's going on in the NBA to what's going on in the world around us. What's captured your imagination heading into this? Like we're a couple games into round 1 so far. What's on your mind?
There is just one guy who refuses to leave the media stream, and it's Nico Harrison. I understand you made a big trade weeks back. I've actually have a buddy who's in Dallas right now, touring schools with his son. I asked him to take pictures of any sign that says "Fire Nico."
Yeah.
It still is going down as the most shocking trade in NBA history.
Yeah.
And since our last pod, he has done 2 media interviews. He got a group of folks together in a closed door meeting to answer questions because he thought it was a great way. He said he often does it at the end of the year, and it's an open forum. They answer questions, and everyone hammered him because I thought it was super weird, and they wondered whether or not he was being forced to do it by the ownership, Dumont, and so it was sort of a little Stockholm syndrome. He claims though, and so he then came back, and Charles Barkley, who Charles says he's a buddy of Nico, is continuing to tell Nico to stay out of the media, take the L, and stop talking about the trade.
Yeah.
Nico just had a press conference on, I think it was Tuesday, because I sent you a screenshot of the 27 minutes of middle of the meeting, middle of the day. I was like, I gotta watch this. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Nico Harrison continues to quadruple, is it centuple, whatever.
He's sticking to his guns
on that defense wins championships. And so, I like to, it just on the surface, do you agree with that notion?
There's the old song, offense wins games, defense wins championships. I think it's probably a both end. I don't think you win if you're over-indexed on offense and you don't have players who can step up defensively, you don't have folks who can protect the rim, it's harder to just outscore people. But that said, depends on the team, depends on how explosive your offense is. So as a guy was a better defensive player than an offensive player,
I can attest to that.
I appreciate the defensive acumen. I'm all about defense and intangibles, Tarlin.
And Palmer's a little dirty. So let's dig in. You said it depends on the team, depends on the year. Okay. So let's go all the way back to, and just quick numbers. So when we're going to remove offense from the equation, can defense win championships? Or does defense win championships?
Yeah.
2014-15 championship year, Golden State, they were number one. Mm-hmm. Next year, Cleveland, this is a regular season defensive rating. Yeah. Golden State was number one. Cleveland was 10, still one. Golden State won again, they were 2. The next year, Golden State won again, they were 1. Follow me. Raptors were 5, Lakers 3, so that's the bubble year. The Bucks were 9. Giannis is only year to win.
Yeah.
Golden State won again, they were 2.
Yeah.
Denver, this is the highest, the worst
anomaly.
Team, 15.
Yeah.
And then Boston last year 2.
Yep.
So if you take out, the few years I didn't run the average, it's skewing towards at least below 6 or 7 in terms of the rating, defensive rating.
That seems highly correlated.
And Dallas last year was 18 in the regular season.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the numbers and you get into the playoffs, Dallas in smaller sample size and not every
playoffs.
Talking about playoffs. Not every team is playing the same number of games. Dallas was the 5th rated defensive team. But Nico, a historian, so in hearing that, is Nico right?
It's certainly something you need to account for. I think what's behind that message is Nico is saying that Luka is soft and that Luka quit in the Boston series, quit on his teammates, basically was belly aching to the refs the whole time, and lost the confidence of his front office, who was going to have to re-up their financial commitment to him to make him their guy for the foreseeable future. He's not saying that. Instead, he's saying defense wins championships. But that's what he's really saying when he's saying defense wins championships.
All right, let's just go with what he's saying. So now let's look at a team level, defense wins championships. He's then potentially pointing the finger at Luka and says he's a terrible defensive player. All right. So who would you say are the top 5 MVP candidates this year? Luka, I mean, not Luka, but Joker, Giannis, SGA. Okay. So Joker, his defensive rating. So I'll give you Luka's defensive rating first. His average is 110.6. That means for every 100, they'll give 110 points for every 100 possessions when Luka's on the floor.
Yeah.
Joker, his average for his career is 107.8. He's 110 this year. Mm-hmm. And Luka's 111. You said SGA. His average is 108, and he's 110 this year. LeBron, better, average 105, but he's 113 this year.
Right.
So Harden, who I think is probably the best current comp for Luka because neither one gets in a defensive stance and play Olay defense.
Yeah.
Actually, better defender, 108. So is it, I'm
that metric is carrying a lot of weight for you though.
Well, I'm just giving you one metric.
You give me one metric and I don't know if I'm picking up what you're putting down, because I think if the eye test of like why those numbers are reflecting that level is frequently, basically you're taking an individual and then you're trying to like interpolate from the team metric of like how the scoring works while they're on the court.
That's the way the data, that's what defensive rating means for the
I understand that's what defensive rating means. I'm just saying it doesn't speak to what I was getting at around Luka, which, we'll see. But I just think when he breaks bad, like the spirit of your team dies with him. And I don't think they were willing to actually say that. So they didn't want to say that they thought he was toxic and you couldn't build a winner around him, regardless of defensive rating, regardless of AD, whatever. I think it's more, he breaks bad. He starts to complain to the refs. He gets worse than he is normally, where he's normally a little bit selfish, but then is kind of okay. He's a little temperamental and suffers from affluenza. We've talked about this before. He's been kind of privileged his whole life. So like he doesn't deal with adversity particularly well.
He was in the NBA finals.
And
what are you talking about?
And he disappeared and he fell apart at the end and he didn't represent like a leader. I mean, he's young. So like you might want to say he's gonna get there and we need to give him more time. And that's really the decision that Nico was making here. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do think the level to which he laid down in that finals when it was an opportunity for him to step it up, I think is indicative of, it's kind of like early LeBron. There's still time for him to grow, but I don't know if I've seen the commitment from him. They weren't, it's that same thing I was quoting Dan Orlovsky earlier, where he's saying about the NFL draft, you draft for uncoachable traits. And I'm concerned that there's some negative uncoachable traits in Luka, in that, it's like the superstar black hole ball hog at the Y, who is the best guy playing every game, except he always loses. And it's because nobody wants to play with him and he's not actually elevating the collective performance because
Let me just push on one thing. Because I'm going to give an alternate. He was there were only two teams left.
I'm aware.
He was battling injury and he got beat by a Boston team that 2 years before lost 4-1 as well. And people could have said they wanted to break up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because they didn't show up and there was no way they're going to get over the top. Now, I'm saying that because I'm just, I like being argumentative. As a Laker fan, it's really hard watching Luka play basketball.
Yeah.
He is no one, I agree. You get him one-on-one, you put Gobert on skates. It is really hard to stop a 6'8" dude with that handle, a release. He is an offensive genius. Watch, steal, leak out, rebound, his sprint ability, you and I can go into and pass to him.
Yeah.
Does not get in the stance. So I think it was just in the front, like Nico just couldn't, it was hard for him to watch someone not commit. They used to say Kyrie didn't play any defense. And we talked about go back to our pods, how committed he was. So for him, I think it was the defense is fine. You were pushing me to pick out one person. Yeah, that's only one person, but look at the collective. You can build the Livelies and the Gaffords, in other words, around the Derrick Joneses around him to create a better defensive team, because you still need someone to get buckets. I think it's the eye test. It is hard to watch someone not play D, one, and then two, after every play, complain. So,
yes, I would just qualify that. I would not call it the eye test. I would call it the I, me, my test.
I'm still not prepared. 100 pods in, it should know what's coming. Now, the other thing that he said, and I'll leave Nico alone. This is the last time I talk about Nico. Well, my daughter's name is Nico.
We're not going to talk about his eyebrows. We decided we're going to stay classy.
I said not stay classy.
We're staying classy.
Stay classy. is he said he was surprised at the fan reaction.
Yeah.
He did not believe that there was that, basically, paraphrase, that much love for Luka.
Yeah.
And I sent you a text like, oh, he only had the number 6 highest selling jersey the year before. So there's something, the words like stopped speaking.
Yeah.
The words either say what you're saying, which is, we didn't believe that he's going to be committed on both sides of the ball. We were projecting out over years that it was just going to get worse and worse. We have to constantly be building a team around Luka's deficiencies, and we don't want to pay him that much money. He didn't want to slam a team. If he slammed Luka in the press like that, they would get no free agents. So he couldn't say that. So you got to lean on defense win championship, but stop saying dumb shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I'll agree. I mean, and if I heard you right, you're concerned as a Lakers fan, which is the other thing is, like, he seems durable, but he also gets hurt a lot. You know, and you got rid of AD in the process. So it's like a wash there. But it's like the level to which you're going to have to pay him to keep him we're
100% paying him.
Yeah.
LeBron's going to go. We just need to bring in athletes around Luka, because you get Luka on an island, it is a blow by, gone. Or if you need to have a hustle play like LeBron had in game 2, coming behind and Edwards, making a steal and keeping us up again, close to double digits. That is not happening with Luka. So
we'll see. You know, it's still early. The Lakers
it is early.
Can make a run.
And man, about your team? Do you feel better about your team?
Well, let me close out on yours. I think it's easy to forget how good Anthony Edwards is, and I don't have in front of me Dante DiVincenzo's defensive rating, but that dude's intangibles and fight are off the charts. So I am missing Dante when I think about my Knicks. But when you think about the Timberwolves and what they could do, they were pretty close last year. There was a surprising outcome when Dallas knocked them out. But the West is a little bit wide open, especially now, just as we're taping this. It's right after there was a serious issue with Jimmy Butler's coccyx. I believe he landed on his coccyx last night, and I think he's getting an MRI on his coccyx, right at his tailbone, also known as your coccyx. But yeah, so jury's out there. But that was the other guy we were talking about. Playoffs? The other guy we were talking about was Jimmy Buckets, and hopefully, I mean, he already moved around. He already had like a little bit of gimpy old man kind of gait to him, and now like he might not be able to really go at it after this injury, which is disappointing. You know, you hate to see injuries come into play. Happily, you know, Dame Lillard is back.
Yeah.
You know, so it looks like he'll be able to get through there. I just think we were snoozing a little bit on the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, who, you know, we talked about Court of Gold, where like he has the fire in his belly, and I think he's trying to find the right way to kind of show how much he wants it. And that's where I still feel like comparing him to Luka. Granted, Luka has LeBron and others playing with him. Somebody like Ant just seems to want it more and seem to have more fight in him, which is why, you know, that's going to be a tough series for your Lakers. We'll see how it goes. As far as my Knicks goes, same problem, I think, where like we've lost some of the scrap in terms of Hartenstein and DiVincenzo.
And 110.7, by the way, defensive rating. He is the same as Luka.
Same as Luka. Well, I mean, fortunately, he's a better bargain. Like you're not paying him as much. but I mean, I do think it comes down to those uncoachable qualities and uncoachable traits, what you draft for. But I think the number one thing you might draft for nowadays is coachability. Like, who is coachable? Who's going to continue to get better? You look at all the great ones, Jordan, LeBron, they do continue to reinvent themselves. Kobe, they do continue to kind of evolve what they're, even Steph, I would say, like, he's almost like refined his approach to kind of get maximum return out of what he's doing. And then also, like, he's had the best shot coaches and has really focused on like the craft. You can't go to YouTube without seeing a master class. I've already had my 6-year-old watch folks break down Steph's magic of his shooting stroke. I think the problem is you want to find high character guys who are coachable and extremely talented. And that's why I think Wemby, you know, an uncoachable trait is being 6'7", 6'4", with like crazy ball handling.
7'4", you mean?
7'4", excuse me. We'll catch that in the edit. 7'4".
Follow me, because I'm asking about your Knicks.
Yeah.
But you're not really answering, because I thought you were going to coachability, and I thought you were going to say, is Tibbs going to try to get Brunson to pass the ball? Because Anthony Towns didn't see the ball for like 18 minutes of the game. And I know he's a clutch player, but it's like a one-man show. So sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, is JJ Redick gonna be able to break through and kind of unlock in Luka? And it looked like he did in the regular season. I don't know if he got there. And then how coachable is Luka? I think Brunson's a lot more coachable, but as far as the team chemistry and like what they can do crunch time, I'm not sure they've really figured it out. I feel like Cat's variability, his volatility as a player, he's either dominant or not. And we need someone who's more there as a competitor regardless, and someone who kind of can play off the ball and play off the ball and work in the system. And I'm not convinced as a Knicks fan that Tibbs is really the future. I think he's got ceilings built into him, and we're not going to attract the missing piece while he's still the coach. I still think we get past Detroit and then lose to Boston. But if we do lose to Detroit, which is a real possibility, the silver lining is
Tibbs is gone.
Maybe we get a new coach.
Tibbs is gone. You need someone who can unlock Mikal Bridges, who spent 5 draft picks on, and he stands in the corner.
Yeah, they all seem timid, like everybody but Brunson. And I wouldn't put it on him. I think he's the only one, and Hart. Brunson and Hart know how to, and then Campaign brought the irrational confidence, and McBride, who I like. I feel like there's like scrappy guys, especially playing in a competitive playoff game in the Garden, in MSG. There's some guys who rise to that challenge and some who don't. And I feel like I saw signs of life in game 1, but I'm not particularly hopeful in that. I think the disappearing act can continue. And I do miss Hartenstein. I think we need a little more get after itness from our front court. And he doesn't really have, we have size in Mitch Robinson, but I don't think we really have the fight that we need and the durability that we need.
All right. So we're going to call it, because we're going to move quickly to high school and make sure we cover NFL. Give me your finals prediction.
I'm still going OKC Boston, and OKC wins.
Okay. So I am, give me this for a moment. I am an OKC it's either OKC or the Clippers.
Yeah, they're hot.
And Boston. They've been able to cover up Harden. Kawhi is, I don't know if you saw, it is unbelievable. It's nasty what he's doing on both ends of the court. Both ends. You're talking about both ends of the court. Let me look up Kawhi, by the way, while we're talking. And so no one's really challenged OKC yet, but I actually think the Clippers are one of the few teams that's built to play with them.
Yeah. And then who would
win? Defensive rating 103.5.
And who would win that matchup between one of the two teams, not picking one team in the West, and Boston? Who would actually win the championship?
Healthy Tatum?
It's how many qualifications are you going to make here? I said the number one ability is availability.
I'm a West homer. I'm going to take the West. So I'm going to take the OKC Clipper against the Celtics.
Who's gonna win that series? I'm saying OKC's gonna win the whole thing. Are you on the record now? Are you going out on a limb? And I mean,
I'm gonna go OKC.
All right, you're just playing nice. I know you're eventually gonna run for mayor of Los Angeles, so you wanna
Karen Bass has that on lockdown. All right, so quick. We don't do news alerts.
Yeah.
Prayers out to Elijah Gilbert Arenas' son, who's a 5-star recruit going to USC, is a baller. He was in a car accident this morning.
Jeez.
in a cyber truck
Hmm.
that caught fire.
What?
And so he is in a medically induced coma. He has no injuries, but in medically induced coma because of the smoke inhalation.
Jeez.
So prayers to Gilbert Arenas. We are running it back. It made me immediately think not the same quality high schooler, but still both McDonald's All-Americans. I think of Bronny, cardiac arrest, going into his freshman year where he lost time. So real prayers to hoping Gilbert Arenas' son, Agent Zero, who we've talked about with his moment with Javaris Crittenden when we did our show around Likes the Fight Guy and John Morant. When keeping it real goes wrong. So really shout out there.
Yeah.
And did want to end. It is the draft. I'm always excited about my Vikings. I love what we've done in the offseason. We've stayed away. We got repellent. We're staying away from A-Rod and Rodgers. You can go quarterback somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I know you've been talking, you keep chatting me up. I know we were all
over. Pick three, baby. Pick three.
We were all, well, not that one. We were all over Justin Fields. Yeah. Justin Fields, we thought they were done dirty, went to the Bears. He then had one stint 1 year with the half year with Russell Wilson.
Russ's clipboard,
yeah. But now he got paid two-year $40 million. The Jets, who's got another chance. So you've been hammering me because you're such a Shedeur fan, and you think you're pissed that he's going to drop.
Yeah.
Shedeur.
Yeah.
And so talk to him, like, let your stand out with Shedeur.
I mean, we got Jameis Russ. We're not taking Shedeur. I mean, unless we trade way down. You know, I feel like the weird part for the Giants is they're already stacked in terms of defensive line, so I'm not sure they're going to take Abdul Carter. And then you almost wonder whether they would trade the pick, assuming Travis Hunter goes second. But it is interesting as a Giants fan, I'm going through like beautiful mind scenarios of all the ways in which they could screw this up. Because like the Giants are not as bad as the Knicks in the draft, but they're
Malik
close.
Neighbors is a great draft pick.
They're not as bad, but they're close. You're saying there's a chance we take a good draft pick, or we pod commit to a guy like Danny Dimes and torpedo our entire future because we overcommitted to him in the draft. So I'm hoping that we don't make that mistake again. Everything I'm hearing is it's not a good quarterback draft, you know, so they could move down and take a flyer on like Milrow, or
they're going to take Abdul Carter. They're going to take Abdul Carter
with the third pick.
Yeah.
Then they're going to trade. I mean, they're going to trade somebody then, because like unless they think they're going to be the new sack exchange, maybe the sack exchange is back. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's fun that I normally don't follow the draft this much, but when your team is as bad as the Giants are, the draft suddenly becomes more interesting to you. It reminds me like where the Knicks were so bad was all those years they were in the lottery after the Dave DeBusschere and the cold card scandal. After that, it's been, you know, Mike Sweetney and
Sweetney, Georgetown,
Frederick Weiss and
dunked on by Vince Carter.
Oh my God, it's just mistake. Kenny Skywalker, you know, I mean, the list goes
on. That's a hometown hero.
Oh my God, you know, but anyway, hopefully Brunson isn't hurt and Tibbs figures out a way to kind of get him there. But I'm concerned with Detroit getting a little extra confidence going. They might be a tough out the way the Knicks are playing, especially to lose in the Garden in game 2. I'm not overly confident. But for the draft, as a Giants fan, at least it's kind of interesting. We'll have plenty to complain about coming tomorrow. So
well, this is a great moment. This is a moment. It's a moment from New York. You have a chance in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're the best record, the Mets in the MLB.
Baseball.
And you have the number 3 pick. And right now, everyone is 0-0. So you still have a chance as a Giants
There's
fan.
A chance, yes.
And for all us fantasy football fans and players, we hope that Jameis starts because it's always fun.
It's so fun. It's so fun. I was disappointed we got Russ because I feel like if we're rolling with Jameis and Shedeur and we're just like, you know, guns out, like we don't care. You know, we're just throwing it all out there, see what happens, you know. But I was also like, for a second, I was thinking maybe we get Travis Hunter, because just imagine having Travis Hunter and Malik Neighbors with like Jameis Winston at the quarterback. I mean, like that's that's like an overly aggressive game of Madden. You know, like it's just random. Everybody's flying,
That's right.
interceptions, touchdowns. Yeah. How about
Actually,
you? Anything in the draft? Anything you want us to keep an eye out before we wrap up here?
as a Viking, we love what we did in free agency, shoring up our line. We brought back Harrison Smith, who's our long-time safety. We could use running back depth. Right now, we don't have a quarterback, so we only have 4 picks in the draft. So we have no draft capital, so we need to move back. We need to figure out some way to pick up some second day picks.
Yeah.
But I believe in our coaching staff and our GM. And although I was not a big fan of JJ, move the game manager McCarthy for Michigan.
Yeah.
We've created an environment where we can do the same thing. So if you get another weapon,
I hear he's a latter day Trent Dilfer. You know, so you're onto something there. Last thing I wanted to get you on, and we're not prepped for this. I noticed there is an H on your hat here. I believe you may have some affiliation to a college that starts with an H, a university in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Is there anything you want to say about Harvard while we have a hot mic here? And I'm not just talking about myself.
It's not often that you drop the H bomb, people give you a lot of crap, but our motto is Veritas. It's truth. So I appreciate what the university is doing to make sure that there is intellectual integrity and that they can continue to operate as a private institution the way they like to. That's not a political statement. That's a statement of keeping a separation church and state and what I believe should be allowed.
Yeah.
So
not to mention,
I am rocking this is for Harvard Hoops.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr came out in a press conference repping Harvard
Tommy
Hoops.
Amaker. Yeah.
Tommy Amaker, shout out to Tommy Amaker and the Harvard team.
Yeah.
So fight on, and truth matters.
I thought it was important to say that because you're again, talk about being pod committed and cognitive dissonance. You own so much Harvard swag that you want the value of it to go up. And I think by virtue of these courageous moments that we're in, the resale value, if things go sideways for you, Tarlin, you could always start selling Harvard merch, which it's nice to have.
You can always go to runningitback.fm. That's where we'll be selling it.
Nice to have backup plans. All right, man, this is it. We're going to leave this unedited. Folks, let us know what you think about the unedited magic, which is heading out to our listeners everywhere. Tarlin, thanks again for joining.
Peace.